Hi, and welcome to another episode of pianoTV. So today I wanted to talk about the health benefits of Mozart. So not Haydn, not Beethoven, not Brahms, any of those other guys, just like Mozart specifically. And the inspiration for this video came from, I do a lot of health and nutrition research and reading, and I stumbled across a really interesting study regarding Mozart and his music, so I just was inspired to dig deeper, see what else the scientific literature says about Mozart, and like a little bit of music in general, but mainly Mozart. Generally when I plan my videos, I have my own list of topics that I want to cover. I have a list of requests that you guys want me to cover, and then every now and then I'm just like randomly doing something, like I'm out for a walk and I get an idea, or I'm reading a health study on Mozart and get an idea. So anyway, let's get into the studies. So I want to start off with the study that really kind of grabbed my attention. It was a really fascinating study done on people with an allergy to latex. Basically how the study worked is that people who were allergic to latex were exposed to latex, which of course would lead them to get a rash. But when these same people, so this is like their latex reaction before and after, when these same people were exposed to the music of Mozart, their skin produced less of an allergic reaction. Perhaps even more interestingly, Beethoven and like the study said other musicians like Schubert or Haydn or Brahms didn't have any effect at all on the allergies. So there was something specific to Mozart music that is supposedly is potentially helpful in allergic diseases. So after reading that super interesting, but also like highly specific study, I thought I would dig around a little bit and see what else I could find specific to Mozart especially. And I did more research into the Mozart Effect, which we'll talk about more in a minute here. But here's a study I came upon in the topic of preterm infant. Basically, Mozart was played to babies who were born prematurely. Well, I can't talk and highlight at the same time. But Mozart was played to premature babies, which then helped them gain more weight and grow faster, which is obviously super critical if you are a baby and you're born prematurely. So other researchers were like, okay, well, does this work if we use a different composer like Bach? But Bach does not help infants gain weight. So that's two studies specifically linking Mozart to health, both in, if you have allergies and if you're a preterm infant. So this next one relates to children, and Mozart seems to be helpful for children who have epilepsy. So they played Mozart music for children, and it seemed to help reduce the number of epileptic seizures that these children had. And it's a subject where there's more research needed, but it's another strong Mozart-specific connection. Okay, so if you're allergic to latex, if you're a preterm baby, or if you're a child with epilepsy, there might be something special about Mozart that will be helpful to you. But what about the rest of the general population? So we often hear little tidbits about like how classical music is so good for the brain, but at the very least, what we learned from this one particular study is that Mozart is not going to help us score higher on a math exam. So there was a Mozart group and a Bach group in this study. They were played music by each composer, or either one depending on what group they were in, and then they did a math test. But the study showed that there were no significant effects on the immediate mathematics test, which when participants listened to 10 minutes of either Mozart or Bach, it didn't help them do their math exam. So now let's take a look at the really famous study released in 1993 that talked about the so-called Mozart Effect. And this effect basically was just showing that people's IQs were raised by 8 to 9 points when they listened to 10 minutes of Mozart. This was compared to both complete silence, sitting in silence, or listening to a tap of relaxation instructions. So the people in the Mozart group, their IQ went up. However, the results of this study haven't been replicated, which means there's some sort of faulty aspect to it. Basically, the speculation is that comparing the really stimulating music of Mozart to complete silence is basically comparing apples to oranges. It is not a fair comparison. As in the previous study, when Mozart and Bach were pitted against each other, and no boost in math skills were found, it could just be the stimulating aspect of music that was helpful in this exam, as opposed to like specifically Mozart. Other studies that I found seem to confirm that when it comes to music in the brain, it's not just Mozart specifically that provides the boost. It's listening to all music can boost the cognitive performance in the short term. But what I find really interesting here, though, is that listening to music seems to only provide like a short-term boost, but when you take music lessons from childhood, you experience a long-term, like a lifelong boost in intelligence. However, there are some promising Mozart-specific studies that relate Mozart to relaxation. I mean, most of us are already personally and anecdotally familiar with music's ability to relax us and to relieve us of anxiety and worry. So when Mozart's music was pitted against New Age music, and of course no music at all, Mozart of the three groups had the greatest impact of improving our feelings of physical relaxation, ease, and mental quiet. Mozart's music also seems to benefit people who have depression. Listening to Mozart's music boosted dopamine levels in the brain, which in turn can then go on to reduce depression levels. Mozart's music also boosts B, D, and F, which is basically just a protein that's important for long-term memory. So in addition to reducing depression, Mozart can also potentially help us repair brain cells and neurons, which is all super, super exciting news. Mozart's music also seems to boost our ability to do special rotation tasks, which if you've ever done an IQ test, it looks kind of like what you see on the screen here. They pitted one of Mozart's sonatas against Brahms and his Hungarian dance, and they also had a group that didn't listen to any music at all. And the results were that Mozart's music in particular, by activating task-relevant brain areas, enhances the learning of spatio-temporal rotation tasks. And that is all for today's video. Let me know if you have any, other observations, questions, etc. like that in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I put a lot of work into these videos, and I always appreciate you guys taking the comment to give it a like and leave a comment. And I will catch you guys next time. So this study did, so these kids were exposed, no.